All right, welcome to another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I am Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody. Thanks for joining us on yet another beautiful Thursday.
Beautiful summer day. And,
Where is
we talked
everybody
last
at?
week that, what's that?
I'm curious where everybody's at. Maybe if they come on, they'll be able to tell us where they're at.
I
What's
know.
going on?
Where they're tuning in from, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, let us know. Drop a little comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. And are you local? We tend to get international viewers, which is great. So I guess with that, welcome in and please leave us a comment. Make sure you are subscribing to our channels, all the channels. It's all about the biology. Chiropractic is Sexy. We are streaming also to Facebook and LinkedIn. So we're all over. You can find us everywhere, and we appreciate a follow, a like, and a comment. Comments are also very helpful in sharing the getting the word of the podcast out, as well as sharing the actual episode. So super grateful for everybody jumping in and joining in. So thank you for that.
I just got adjusted. I feel amazing.
You what? You just got adjusted?
I feel amazing. Did you get adjusted this week?
I need my adjustment. No, yeah. I'm missing my adjustment. So
I had it. She was asking me, she said, did you just have a massage? I said, no, I have one tonight. And I try to do that every week. So yeah, just trying to stay ahead of it all. It's good. I did 8.5 miles of 2.5 hours the other day of walking. So my body's
walking the talk, girl. Walking the talk.
What are we doing this week to take the best care of yourself? And so yeah, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. So and that's we are walking the talk. Mm-hmm. So we talked in last week's episode about nervous system regulation and what does that mean. And so I thought that would be a really good topic, and I feel like it's a big long statement that many people might not know what it looks like. And your nervous system is, so your brain, your spinal cord, all the nerves, many people don't even know that the nerve here in the tips of your fingers actually comes from up here in the spine.
Right.
So every nerve in your body comes from your brain and your spinal cord. It is the first thing that develops in utero. So two little cells come together. We talk about how miraculous that is. And then they start to form. And the first thing they form is the brain and the spinal cord, because it controls and directs each and every other function in the body, which is why every week we talk about how critical the health of your nervous system is and keeping those messages clear. So oftentimes we get these symptoms, we get things that are lying under the surface, and we ignore them because we think that they are tiny things, and they aren't tiny things. So nervous system dysregulation, we're going to show you, is a lot of things that maybe you're dealing with on a daily basis that you're not connecting the dots.
Well, also, the word nervous system dysregulation or just dysregulation has kind of become a little bit of a regular use in our world these days. And when people think about that, especially as we head back into school year, people think about that like you could clearly see a dysregulated child, right? So that's really easy. And that's really easy to see. And a lot of times that has to do with a lot of different things going on. And a lot of it has to do with what the child's eating and not eating. But also the nervous system, I was talking with a patient the other day. So he's had a couple surgeries on his lumbar spine. And he said, I have this cramp down in my, in the bottom of my calf. And I said, well, what happens is that when you get misalignments in the spine, it's the dysregulation that's going on in a cellular level is often not a nerve cut off of supply. It's more of a facilitation, which is an aggravation and an irritation and a dysregulation of a higher tone, not a lower tone, unless you really have some serious like nerve cut off. And usually that's like a serious nerve like injury, but we're always talking one level less than that. And when that happens, it's like interference, like a buzzing, like a tone on there. And it takes the weight of a dime to create enough interference in your nervous system to create subluxation or misalignment there. But anyway, it's facilitating, which is that then everything's like a buzz like this, and then you're redlining, and then all of a sudden you're dysregulated and going up over the top. And I think some of the things that we kind of put on the list was like, you feel irritable, you're just not able to like jaw clenching, and then it goes into obviously further symptoms down the road of the stuff that brings people in our office eventually. But let's get that going on before when the body's whispering. So it was interesting because I had that facilitation conversation it was actually just yesterday. So
yeah, and I think before we get into what each and every little thing is, I'd like to, Ken, have you bring up that graphic for us. So this is the tip of an iceberg. And these are all the little things that you experience in a day. So maybe it's poor sleep. And also, how many of you will say, well, I've never been a good sleeper. That doesn't mean it's okay. I've never had daily bowel movements. That doesn't mean it's okay. Your body is completely dysregulated. And so again, yeah, the irritability, the brain fog, all these little things, those are just the tip of the iceberg. So you can see at the bottom all of the things that are brewing underneath the surface. And it took years for it to build up to get to that tip. So what we really want to do is talk about what's happening at the tip of the iceberg, but then go into what is really brewing underneath the surface and what you can do about that to protect yourself from this really running rampant and out of control.
Yeah. I mean, there's, we always go back to eat well, move well, sleep well, drink your water, get your rest, and get adjusted. And, as we go into the month of August and we turn the corner on the very end of August and into September, there's a frenzy out there. And then that frenzy leads people to want to maybe emotionally eat and not get the proper rest and all of that stuff. So we see people are aware symptomatically of just that very top, the tip of what's going on. But when we put those 6 things together and we're not eating well, we're not sleeping, we're super stressed, we're, whatever, all the things that get us to that point, the symptoms are only just the top, but the underlying, like you talked about, like that underlying stress is chronic, leads to so many bigger, louder symptoms. And, we just stop waiting for something to solve for you. Get out there and get proactive about handling, the fall time ahead. Like, you got a couple of weeks before you got to get back into that school mode. Like, get a plan going.
If you find yourself on a daily or even weekly basis having to reach for Advil, Tylenol, anything over the counter, then your nervous system is dysregulated and you are causing further dysregulation by putting that toxic chemical into your body. So if you have a headache, if you have sinus issues, and let's discuss the daily Zyrtec. Because I feel like a lot of people don't even consider, well, I just take it for my sinuses. I have talked to so many people and I'm like, okay, what medications you're on? They forget that they're taking that stuff because it's part of a daily routine that keeps their sinuses dry. And of course, we had that conversation a few weeks ago about you don't just dry up your sinuses, you dry up your discs, your joints, your organs, you dry up so much stuff. So if you are finding yourself reaching for over-the-counter medications on a regular basis, and if you're like, I only take it about once a week, once every couple of weeks, that's still plenty. You need to ask yourself, stop and ask yourself, why? What is actually happening? Because we want to get to below the surface. The headache is up here at the top of the iceberg, but what is below the surface is the nervous system dysregulation. And is it because of food? Is it because of sleep? Is it dehydration? Is it stress? Where's it coming from? We have to get to the bigger picture so that you don't feel like you have to reach for anything like that. And please do not take it just because you might get a headache or
Yeah,
you
exactly.
get
Well, the other
swollen.
part is it might be from, like you said, dehydration, lack of sleep, not proper, all the things, those 6 things that we talk about all the time. But I can tell you one thing it's not, is it's not due to lack of that medication in your system. And I don't know where we got so off base with that, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to take something ahead of time. So I had a patient in yesterday and she said, what do you think about taking an Advil? What do you think about taking, what do you think about that? And I'm like, well, let me ask you this question. If your check engine light came on in your car, what would you think about that? Would you ever in 1 million years take a piece of electrical tape and just stick it over your check engine light? And we've talked about this analogy before. We would never, ever, ever do that. We would think, oh, I got a check engine light on. I wonder when I can get it in to be seen. I wonder what's going on with it. How much is it going to cost? Like that check engine light on your car, you never ignore. And even if you try to ignore it, you'll get back in your car the next day and be like, oh, right, I got this check engine light. Oh, wait, I got a flat tire. Like my tire sensors will sometimes come on. It's like, they don't let you in our vehicles ignore them for a very good reason, because eventually you're going to be limping along and then something's going to really give, right? So we can't do that. And so think about Advil, Tylenol, Aleve, all those kinds of things as putting a piece of electrical tape over your check engine light. Now, I do want to talk about NSAIDs for just a second, because I had a patient and she cleans homes. This was a couple of weeks ago. I had a patient and she cleans homes and all this and that, right? So patients will go in to see their primary care. And I'm fine with you go see whoever you think you need to see. But that PCP was going to put her on Gabapentin, which that's their go-to for that. Now, I got to tell you, it's going to be a whole lot safer to use Advil, Aleve, or something like that as a bridge for a couple of days to see if, because he was going to put her on Gabapentin with no exit strategy, like nothing to exit off of that. So I'm so grateful she came in. She's like, does this sound right? I'm like, that's their go-to. So if you are looking for drugs, radiation, surgery, go see your PCP for these discomforts. But if that's not what you're looking for, you need to look to your diet, your water, and all that kind of stuff. But then also come in, get your spine checked, get adjusted, because I can tell you Gabapentin in a long term, and she's 46, something like that, with no exit strategy. She's like, I looked this stuff up. You actually have to like wean yourself back off of it. Yeah, it's not safe.
No.
It's not what we should be doing.
And that study just came out that it causes cognitive decline and dementia. It's
No,
so
thank you.
dangerous. So yes, it's going to take your pain away. And I think that's the consideration, is that you are falsely drawn into the fact that it is not, you're falsely drawn into safety, and it is not safe. And it does come with a tremendous amount of side effects. And the recent study that just came out showed that it is so detrimental for cognitive decline as well as dementia. So yes, it's going to take your pain away, but it's also going to numb you. You're not going to be able to think clearly, and then expose you to some pretty serious neurodegenerative changes that nobody wants. That we all want to be going into our later years with like vigor and a full brain and a full body, and we don't want to have to feel that fogginess.
Yeah.
And I do want to I want to address this comment about the chemtrails and the microwave radiation, because I think we do need to address the fact that all this environmental stuff is going on. We're right here in Michigan, we're tending to get the barrage of smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Just the way the weather patterns go, it tends to really land on us. Fortunately, we've had okay air quality the last few days, but this whole summer has been quite a shit show, and it's affecting everybody. So this is where we also have to consider, regardless of what is in the air, regardless of what is happening around you, we can't control that. That is completely out of our control. But you can pay attention to. So let's say you're, and for me and Dr. Erica, I know we were experiencing extreme fatigue. Our eyes are all pruny. I get puffiness and congestion. okay, I can't do anything about what's happening with the air quality. What can I do? So we pay attention to what we're doing on a daily basis, and we shore up our eating, and we're making sure we are hydrating even more, and our mindset, and really getting very strict around our sleep patterns. So it's your opportunity to you can't do anything about what's going on here, but you can do what's going on here. So really paying attention. What are your lifestyle habits? This is what it goes back to. So are you extra fatigued? Do you have brain fog? Do you have sinus issues? Are you not sleeping properly? Again, those are the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
So let's talk about how do we get your nervous system regulated around that, even if we can't do anything about it.
Yeah. And the other part I just want to piggyback on top of that is that our level of frustration with it will drive us to maybe seek to do something about it. But what we do really need to focus, it's like we can focus on what's going on negative, or we can just really boost our system, boost our water. Like Dr. Paula and I, we were out together all last weekend outside. We were shopping. We were having a great time. We were all of that in the smoke and all of that. But I can tell you, we also weren't eating elephant ears and fried food and all of those are the things that we could control because we wanted to really be outside. I do want to back it up too, because I had a little situation with, you might be able to see it, but I have a hairline fracture in my hand, bruising on both sides. But I had a friend look at it. He's a doctor, and he said, do you want some Toradol for that this week? And I'm like, actually, I don't, because I know I'm not jeopardizing it. I can work just fine. It's painful, but I also don't want to, I want my check engine light to stay on. Like I want my check engine light when I'm going through my days and in the night, like I want my check engine light to stay on and stay loud so that, and it's painful, but it's not terrible. Like I'm not really suffering and I'm able to do what I need to do. But if I would have taken Toradol, and he's like, oh yeah, good point. We don't have to, even think about that. If you want to keep it, maybe just restrict it from moving or whatever. But I'm like, I would rather feel this as I'm going through my day so that I don't do further damage. So I was just thinking how that relates in there as well.
It's a level of protection.
Yeah. And guess what I did? Make sure I'm eating anti-inflammatory as much as possible this week. I'm not eating I don't eat a bunch of sugar anyways, but I also didn't go for, any of the crap that's going to create more inflammation here. Like I'd rather my body do well, be well, and heal as quickly as possible. So I'm not going to put that stuff there in my system to dampen the healing effects of what's going on too. So yeah.
Well, and this is also what happens when people are in pain. If we're just talking about, a chiropractic issue. So let's talk about low back pain as a common chiropractic issue and what people commonly think of chiropractors for. And so if they are not offered chiropractic, then oftentimes it's chronic. And then the final straw, if it's not surgery, if they're like, oh, you're not a surgical candidate, but then they go in and they say, let's go cauterize those nerves.
Oh my gosh.
Because that is burning the nerve endings. Like it's deadening the nerve endings. That's not fixing anything. That's literally like taking a hammer and smashing the check engine light so it can never, ever come on again. And then you're like, gee, why did my engine blow up? It will definitely cause many more problems down the road. Mm-hmm. So these little symptoms, it's not a matter of, you need to start asking why are they happening? And then seeking things out, because one of the things that Dr. Erica and I have seen so often over the years is you're dismissed by traditional medicine when you don't fit into a box, or you are just given a drug, or you're just told to go on, take naproxen or take Advil for the rest of your life. That is not an option, or it shouldn't be an option. And it is not a solution by any means. So if you have found, and I really, really want people to pay attention, if you are getting dismissed, if you are going in and you are trying to find answers and you're still being told nothing's wrong, what that means is that you just haven't reached a level of sickness to meet the criteria for medicine, for drugs, surgery, or any other intervention that way. You haven't met the criteria. Dr. Eric and I are working with you in this very subclinical place. This is why it's so important to start to pay attention to the symptoms of nervous system dysregulation, because we don't want you ending up in, we want to decrease that iceberg. We want to bring the size of the iceberg down. We don't want more happening at the top and then more growing underneath, so that then it's just harder to get to. So this is really about make sure that you're seeking out, you continue to ask answers. And in today's world, it is okay to ask your doctor answers. Now, granted, they only have 2.5 minutes to spend with you. That is a statistic. So if you need more care, go find a chiropractor who's going to sit and listen to you and hear your issues and really help you from a functional perspective. But there's no more dismissal. We can't have that anymore.
No more dismissal. And then another thing we were talking about on our mastermind yesterday is, you guys don't know us, you haven't been into our offices necessarily, but not only are we adjusting, we're also giving these are our recommendations for stretching. This is our supplementation recommendations. This is nonstop. So it's not just go get adjusted. We are truly trying to help you maximize your potential from the inside out, and also walk our talk and be that ahead of time. So, we have patients come in and I've sat down with food logs and said, okay, we do 3-day food log and this is what you're eating. Okay, let's change this for that. And within just a couple short weeks, which people don't really realize what they're doing all the time, a couple short weeks, they start to decrease inflammation. We can feel it in your cells that the inflammation is decreasing. We don't have as much puffiness and feeling like a rock. And when we're starting to do that, and you're starting to do that deep down at the cellular level because of a recommendation that we made, diet-wise or supplementation, you start to create healthier tissues and healthier spine. And then that gives you more longevity. I was just talking to a patient on the way out of here. She had a really rough couple of weeks, and she actually lost her son in 2021 this time, and he was maybe in his mid-40s. I think she's in her mid-60s. And I could just tell she's got just a lot going on. And I gave her some recommendations on breathing, little things like that. And, I said, one of the major things is just being sure that you've got your balance going and that all of that. And she's like, oh yeah, I stand on one leg and brush my teeth, and then I stand on the other leg. And, she's got all these little things that she's picked up over. She's been here for at least 10 years under care. She's like, I'm doing all of it. I'm like, it's so great, because there's things that we can't control, but there's things that we can. And the more we can do now, the quality of life through the decades gets so, so, so much better. So yeah, it's whole vision. And we talked about that wheel in the last couple of weeks too, of is your wheel of all these sections in life, is it running smoothly? You got a flat tire, you limping along. So
yeah. And I have a patient who, she was a patient many years ago and has come back. And I remember, there was definitely some health things. We talked about detox and just some metabolic issues back then as well. But then since I've seen her, or since I saw her years ago, in 2019, so there's a couple of things going on. And this is where nervous system dysregulation and that level of dismissal or inability to find answers comes in. She was getting out of her car, her foot slipped, and she flipped backwards and smashed her head on the car, the bottom of the car door where you enter in. So clearly a concussion. She does have a reverse curve in her neck. She's got some degeneration going on. She's got tremendous neck pain, says it feels like she got clubbed in the back of the head. It's always way up here, right where she took that hit and that trauma. And so she had said to me, she said, I haven't felt like the same person since. And she said, I'm just not excited about anything anymore. And she's 41 years old. So we have a couple of things going on. And this is also where she says, nobody can figure out what's going on with me. Now, she'd only been here a month, again, this second round. And after her re-exam and we started to uncover more things, I said, we're talking months. This is not, I'm not going to resolve this. This is not going to be resolved in 4 weeks. We made a little bit of progress with her, but this is where it's really critical to have somebody who can see it all. So working with her, there's two things happening here. She's also in perimenopause, and her doctor said it's impossible. She can't be because she still has regular periods. I said that is one of the most common misconceptions about perimenopause. So we have concussion and traumatic brain injury matched with perimenopause. So she's losing estrogen, which is this beautiful anti-inflammatory that we have, and it's incredibly neuroprotective for the brain. She's like, my husband could say, oh, let's go see the Grand Canyon. And she's like, be like from, vacation. Clark, don't you want to see the Grand Canyon? Not excited. And so it's really, that is something that medical doctors do not know how to handle. They're like, they want to put her on an SSRI or an antidepressant, and she doesn't want to do that. And that's not the problem. Her occupation, if you're talking here, ghetto hippie, she's also a hairdresser, so exposed to a lot of chemicals. So we have some work to do. And so this is where it's like having somebody who can look at all of the things. So if we go back to the iceberg picture, below the surface, traumatic brain injury, 25 years as a hairdresser, exposed to multiple chemicals, we're losing estrogen, we're moving into perimenopause. All that is below the surface. What's above the surface is her chronic neck pain that's making her feel like she's not the same person, that's affecting her sleep and giving her incredible brain fog. But that's my job. That's Dr. Erica's job, is to say, we need to dig below the surface. And we're going to be able to help her because we're looking at her from a holistic perspective, because no one should go through life like that.
Right.
But we need time. We need time for healing, because look how big that iceberg is.
I know.
It's going to take a while, right?
Well, we need time and repetition. I had a patient come in the other day, and she's been under care for a couple of years now. And she's just got this really sunshiny disposition, and she works here, but they live like 40, I think they live down in Waterford or in that area close to you, Dr. Paula. And anyway, she said, I got great news. I was like, what? She said, I got my husband to start chiropractic care. And actually, this is really cool. So she said, yeah, he works for FedEx. She said, at his FedEx location, they're having a chiropractor come in once a week to the location. And I'm like, that is brilliant.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
And she said, I told him, I said, it's not what's going on, right? It's what's going on that matters now. But she said, once you get started, you don't actually get to stop. Like, this needs to be constant and continuous care of your spine and nervous system. She's saying that to him. And I'm like, something is really getting through to our patients, because she's now taking the information that she is living by because of our office. And she's now saying, even though he doesn't get to come up here, there's a FedEx spot somewhere down there that he works in, like the corporate building or whatever it is. And I'm like, that's amazing that a company like FedEx sees the benefits so much. So, and, we're about to start into college football season and NFL. And like, when you start to see these big teams as they get back on the field, they're getting chiropractic care weekly or multiple times a week. There's chiropractors showing up everywhere. And, Dr. Paul and I we're not going to be going out and trying, like, we have friends. I have a couple of friends that are mobile chiropractors, but it's like, I'd rather you come to me because I got all my tools here. But I love that this particular patient, her husband is going to get started and is going to be under regular chiropractic care because his corporate entity is seeing the benefits of that. It's also been really nice because also the automotive industry is finally coming on board with, we don't need to necessarily talk about insurance benefits, but they have put chiropractic like front and center for their employees now, which is like, they should have done this a long freaking time ago. And it's so nice that we're like at this cutting edge. It's also the chiropractors are at the tables in our nation's capital, because it's also like coming to the forefront that this is what's really important, is to make sure that we're progressing with the health of our spine, because in the long run, they're going to be paying out less on us, because we won't need, like, we'll be able to be independent living for longer. Our brains will be well and all of that. So I'm just 20 years in, and so even more excited about what's ahead. So it's super cool.
It's pretty exciting. And, the cost of chiropractic care is so much less than the cost of medicine when you're looking at, and people say, oh, my insurance covers all of my prescriptions anyway. And it's like, what's it costing you in the long run? How's your liver? How's your gut? Is
Right.
it's, and when you're on medications, what happens is it does affect your sleep patterns. So, and then what happens is a lot of people that they'll end up taking a sleep aid. When you are taking some kind of sleep aid medication wise, not like magnesium or anything like that,
Right.
when you take that, it actually disrupts your sleep patterns. So if you are, if you're like, oh, I wake up in the morning, I get 8 hours of sleep every night, but I still wake up exhausted. It's because your sleep cycles are off. You're not allowed to get into deep sleep when you're on certain medications. And so that is, when you sleep, your brain clears. It's like all the garbage men come in and they clean up the brain and they clean up the nervous system. And so that is part of nervous system dysregulation, is when you can't get to the proper sleep level for neurological cleansing. And so we hammer sleep hard because we're both very we're kind of junkies about sleep. I'm kind of like, don't mess with my sleep. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And
yeah.
I mean, because when we don't, like, we were out pretty late on, well, Saturday night for sure, but
Yeah.
Friday as well. And not that we're drinking and cocktailing the whole time, we're just out enjoying ourselves. But then it's like, man, that took me like a day and a half or 2 days. And
Same.
then 2 days later after that is when I walked 8.5 miles. And I'm not saying that as like a self-righteous way, like that's also very taxing on my body. So now I know that I need to like really get right with the other things that I can control this week. And so, yeah, it's just constant and continuous. So,
Well,
but
and we knew we were going to be having this epic weekend. It's my favorite festival of the year. Dr. Eric and I always have so much fun. We always say, we're driving each and every day. I mean, mentally in our businesses, taking care of people, and we don't get too many opportunities to just wander and just be and not be on a schedule and just enjoy the freedom of that. And so we had 2 days of that. So I knew we were coming up into that. I knew that, I was probably going to have a few cocktails. I was probably going to get to bed late, which we didn't get to. I think I was home by 10:30 on Friday. So that was good. But, we were there all day. So we got we got our day full of that. And then, but Saturday, I didn't get to sleep till like 1. And you're right. It takes a couple of days. I might still kind of be feeling it because I'm still a little foggy. So even though like we're presetting, we always talk about presetting and then post-setting. So been real clean leading up to that weekend, real clean coming out of it. And I'm still a little tired. So imagine if I wasn't being conscious. I wasn't going to go into the weekend and say, I'm not going to have fun. I do want to have some cocktails. I believe Dr. Eric and I shared a tiramisu Saturday night. It was so good. It was really so good. Yeah, but we don't do that all the time. So that's what I'm saying. Like we want to live and we want to have fun. We're not willing to be on the no fun diet, but we are willing to protect ourselves around when we want to do those things. And that's what we're asking of you, is to pay attention to how many days of fun are you having, and is it happening each and every day? And if you can do just moments of the fun and be really clean and kind to yourself before or after that, you will feel so much better.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that kind of our list of stuff that we were going to talk about today was if you cannot relax without turning on the TV or turning something on to escape, like we are wildly dysregulated. And if you look around and your children are that way, they are also dysregulated. Like we need, and really, I mean, I actually shared a post about this earlier this week. It's like, there's not really anything really, really, truly balanced. And so the counterbalance, that's what Dr. Paula is like. We have a preset because we knew what was going to be happening. Like we'll also do that again tomorrow because we're going to be out in the heat down at the Dream Cruise on Saturday, just enjoying and also being in not only the smoke outside, but the exhaust from the classic cars, but also it's like the joy of the friends. And we'll probably choose to eat pretty clean because we'll probably have a cocktail. So, and I've already been adjusted this week and we've been chugging our water. So it's constant and continuous, but we want to be able to do Milford Memories, Dream Cruise, and all of that for decades ahead, like decades. I don't want to be down there pushing around a wheelchair, knock on wood. I want to be out dancing on that dance floor we were on Saturday night.
Till I die. Yeah.
And I was surprised because I did, by the end of that day, 27,000 steps, so probably all-time high for a while now. And I actually felt amazing on Sunday. Amazing. And I was kind of surprised that all that pavement walking and in flip-flops and all of that. So when the resilience
dancing in flip-flops.
Yeah, when the resiliency is coming through on the other side and you can go do that and feel really good. It's really
well. And I did a 14-mile bike ride Saturday morning, so I only had 23,000 steps. So.
And we ran into somebody that he was like, what did he say to you? You're like, oh, are you having fun? And he said, oh, I'm trying, because he got a workout in that morning. And like that was spent the whole day. Like, what is that particular man doing that's not allowing him to get a good workout in on a Saturday morning and still be out having some fun and walking and dancing and hanging with friends? Like, he was trying to have fun. It's like, wait, what?
He was so dysregulated. And I know him from the gym. I don't know him, but I saw him out and I was like, I'm going to go say hi, because I see him at the gym all the time. And the guy's jacked and he's probably mid to late 50s. So, really great shape. But boy, when you have that kind of like attitude, I was like, where is your joy, man? My gosh. And so for him to go, well, I had a really hard workout this morning. I go, yeah, I rode 15 miles and I've been walking around here all day. So I go, I don't know why you're not having fun. And then I think it just
probably needs to see the chiropractor.
He probably needed. Yes,
referred him to somebody close to his house. And that,
I know. I don't even know his name. He told me his name. I don't even remember. I don't want to remember. But I do want to just address real quick, because you keep mentioning Dream Cruise. And for those who don't know what Dream Cruise is, the Woodward Dream Cruise, it's the largest car cruise in the country. In the world. So Woodward Avenue here in Detroit, we're the car capital of the world, and everyone brings out their classic cars. And it is miles along this huge 4-lane Woodward Avenue, up and down, north and south, of classic cars, and it's gridlock because everyone wants to bring their cars out. And then all these classic cars are parked along Woodward. So there's so much to see. And so the exhaust, so that's what Erica was saying, is that imagine all of those cars, the exhaust, and then the racing fuel, like it's that smell and the rubber. And then of course it's going to be 90 degrees. So it's all going to be stagnant in the air. So it's going to be a little toxicity that day.
So we're choosing toxicity that day, and we're presetting and then resetting on the other side to manage that. But those that don't, I mean, it's like that guy. It's like we have to be regulating our nervous system on a daily basis, but also on a weekly basis with adjustments. So
happiness and joy go a long way. So
what's that?
Happiness and joy go a long way for your nervous system.
It really does.
Yeah. So fabulous. Well, anything else you want to say? That was really good today.
Yeah, no, just kind of keeping it simple and keeping it real, and really making conscious choices to up your level of health every single day. And also what I've been going over with my patients ad nauseam. I got to be so annoying to my staff. Things over and over. But what I really want you to anybody who's listening, look ahead 2, 3, and 4 weeks from now. And how can you take your stress and your decompression, your de-stressing mode, and how can you take the school year head on, but also keep all of these things in mind, all these 6 things that we talk about all the time, and also be adding chiropractic care into the school year ahead. I mean, we can probably go into some of the key things that, we want you to be looking for in your week or doing in your weekly routine to manage that. But I want you to take this feeling that you have, because it's been summer, and move it into the school year and try and make that a little more seamless than what you've done in the past. So think about that now. Let's maybe talk about that next week. And figure out how to.
I love that. And I think also talking about the school year and why kids in chiropractic is such a great combination, especially when kids go back to school and backpacks, and why it's even more critical to have your kids under care. So I think that's a good springboard into next week.
Yeah.
Is how do we seamlessly go into the fall, and why do your kids need to be under chiropractic care?
Yeah.
Perfect.
No,
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Appreciate your comments, your likes, your subscribe, as well as sharing this. And we will look forward to seeing you all next Thursday on Chiropractic is Sexy. Have a great week, everybody.
Great week. Bye.